guest weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific Time and learn how to live a peaceful life with intentional mastery. Enjoy a survey of inspiring topics such as abundance, intention, health, manifestation, love, and transformation. It's all right here with authors, speakers, coaches, entrepreneurs with stories and messages to support your well-being. Let alone your most evocative dreams.
Another groovy day. Nothing like a little overmodulation to start your day off. I don't know. Indira must have had the volume turned up a little bit. Welcome to Life Mastery Radio. Yay! My most favorite day, the talk show that brings you great thoughts and ideas for you to use on your very own life mastery journey. And we're talking about a journey today. You're going to dig this. But first, before we get started, I forgot to tell you, today's a groovy day. That's because when I wake up in the morning, I make it that way. Before my feet hit the floor, I decide it's going to be a groovy day. And no matter what happens, I can always think back. I started out groovy and I can turn this around, and that's what I do. And it works. So you can work it too. Before we get started, let's get ourselves centered and situated and a little bit organized because we have some great information coming your way. But take a minute and think about what it is that you connect to. What is it that you connect to that you get power from, that you get solace from? It could be God, it could be Allah, it could be the dude, it could be the tree outside your window. And let's just focus on that for a second and take in a deep breath all the way down. And let that breath out with a big ah, and focus on that connection. Connect to it all the way up through your heart center, throat chakra, speaker box, and out into the universe. Let it know that you're around. Let's do that one more time. But this time, let's think about our dreams, vision, and goals. Here we are. We're winding down. 21 is just about over. 2021. Oh my goodness. I don't know where it all went, but I am glad it is over. Well, there was some great opportunities, but what's in your chest? How should I say that? What's in your thoughts and ideas for next year? What do you want to do, be, and have? What do you want to call into your existence? Think about that. Focus on it. Take in a deep breath. Dreams, visions, and goals for 2022. And again, just let that breath out with a big ah. Let those dreams, visions, and goals flow out of your speaker box, out into the universe. Here's the deal. Allow the universe the opportunity to make those come true for you. Chin up, tail out from between your legs, wagging like a little puppy dog, looking for those opportunities because they are coming your way. I guarantee it. Think about it. All righty then. Hi, Jackie. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing today? I know you're groovy, but how else are you?
It's another lovely day in the Pacific Northwest, kind of overcast. I know the sun is shining on the other side of that overcast. So, hey, it's a groovy day. How are things at the Speak Feed Lead project?
You know, we are just chugging along. We last week was Giving Tuesday, and we had some really wonderful support sent our way. Lots of love in the form of some cash, which is much needed. We appreciate that. We can keep our doors open for another month. And so we appreciate all of those who donated to our cause, and we've reached out to some more children. In fact, we are working with some kids that are applying to a really cool summer program with MIT. And they've asked us to help them to create the messaging for a video that they need to provide with their submission papers. And this is a really cool program. It's called Launch X. It's an entrepreneurship summer program. I think it's about 3 months long. And so lots of students are really interested in getting into this program, and we feel so honored to be able to help them and hopefully get into that program and be an entrepreneur.
that's where I wanted to go. I mean, I wanted to go badly, but you know what happened? I got high and I missed it.
Oh.
That's totally the deal. But that set me on the trajectory that I'm on today, and things might have been a lot different. But yeah, biomedical electronics was really big back in the day, and I was all about that. But
Yeah.
things changed. United States Marine
Hey.
Corps was my bailiwick. Totally.
You know what? I heard a quote this morning. It was on, I was listening to some conversations on Clubhouse, and someone said, you can never don't feel like you've made a wrong decision, or don't worry about making a wrong decision. Just make a decision and then make it a right decision.
That's right.
And that's what I thought that was really moving and powerful. So
that's the path. All righty then. I want to remind our listeners that today's show page is at www.lifemasterradio.net or .com. Either one will get you there, and any links we talk about with our awesome guest today will be right there. And while you're there, sign up for the newsletter. Jackie creates a newsletter every week, and it highlights who's coming on the show, who's been on the show, and her blog post about the previous show or the show of that week. And it's her take on what we talked about and gives you a little bit of insight about the guest. And then you can go and check out the YouTube video. So it's pretty cool. Sign up for that newsletter and you will be informed about everything Life Mastery Radio. Yay. Jackie and I's book is there. And you can follow the links to Amazon. Here's my book, 6 Keys to Life Mastery. And there's Jackie's book, Self-Centered Leadership. It's really cool. Both books are a really good read. She wrote that book, and then I was so jealous I had to write my own book. Where I thought she could do it, I could do it, and that's how it all works. Other than that, are you ready for the show, Jackie? What did I forget?
Yeah, this is a subject matter I am very unfamiliar with, or at least was until I read Elle's book. So I'm looking forward to talking with her about this.
Yeah, you were telling me because we both take pride in reviewing our guest books, and you were telling me that while you were reading the book, you were talking to your niece, and she was talking about her twin flame. And had you not been reading Elle's book, you would have not even known what she was
talking about. It would have gone right over my head.
That's how the universe works. When you need to know what you need to know, you get to know it. That's pretty cool. All righty. Our guest today is Elle Hari, and Elle is a #1 international best-selling author and twin flame and ascension expert. If you don't know what twin flame is, we're going to talk about that, so stay tuned. She helps people overcome fear, pain, and self-sabotaging limitations in order to guide them toward their true nature of bliss and perpetual happiness. After experiencing her own twin flame journey, if you don't know what a twin flame journey is, stick around, we're going to talk about it. Elle left her career as a lawyer to help others navigate their own paths toward ascension. Now, as the founder and CEO of Elle Hari Universal LLC and creator of the Be With Your Twin Flame and Mastery of Ascension Alchemy trademark brands, Elle helps her students learn to unconditionally, this is the biggest part, unconditionally love themselves and manifest their greatest dreams. I think that is so cool. Her mission is driven by a passion to expand people's awareness of the truth of the twin flame journey and assist humanity's spiritual ascension on a global scale. That's a big, audacious goal, and it's really cool because you know what? She's doing it. Elle has written 4 best-selling books, including the book we're going to talk about today, Twin Flames Exposed. This might be a cue for Elle to hold up her book if she has a book. We didn't talk about it. Do you have a copy? No. Okay, well, maybe we have a graphic. Love Exposed. Yes, I can. And Savvy Spirituality, the sophisticated, fun, and fabulous person's ultimate guide to everlasting happiness. Today, she is here to reveal to us insights from Twin Flames Exposed, why most of what you think you know about twin flames isn't true, and how understanding the truth is the key to being with your twin flame in this lifetime. That was a mouthful, but I wanted to make sure we knew who we were talking to because I'm very impressed with the guests that we have today. Hi, Elle. How are you today, my friend?
Hey, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So
And that great introduction.
I had a little help, I think.
Okay.
So just to start out, let's, I've never really, I've heard of twin flame, but I've always thought, oh, well, that's your soul partner. But they are totally different. So maybe we should start out by defining these two terms, your soulmate or your twin flame.
Yes, great place to start. So the twin flame is the person who shares your soul. Everyone has and is a twin flame, and everyone has and is only one twin flame to one twin flame. There's only one twin flame for everyone. And it's the other person that shares your soul. So you are the same soul, two bodies, one soul. A soulmate, on the other hand, is, as the name implies, it's a mate of your soul. So a soulmate is another soul entirely, not your soul. And a soulmate is any other soul, which basically any living thing, any living being has a soul, because the soul is just energy, that resonates with your soul to some degree or another. Most people think of soulmate, they think of romantic partners, and that certainly can be. But also our soulmates are our family members, friends, coworkers, neighbors, strangers that cross our paths, and even pets.
Okay,
Yeah.
so how do two people share the same soul?
So, okay, our soul is energy, just like everything else, but our soul originates in 5D, the fifth dimension. Our physical world is 3D, it's the third dimension. And the 3D has a completely different energetic paradigm than 5D. So 3D, everything is in duality or opposites with each other. We have up and down, hot and cold, in and out, light and dark, good and bad. Everything has an opposite, which is actually why our soul chooses to incarnate here in every lifetime, because in order to learn what something is, we have to learn it by what it's not as well, through comparison. If you hold up your hand, is this up or down? Well, you don't know until you know what down is or what up is, right, in relation to it. So everything's relative here in the 3D world. And that's why our soul incarnates here, to learn about things through what they're not, and including itself. And so the soul, in order to incarnate here in 3D, needs to assimilate energetically with this paradigm of duality. So it makes two opposites of itself energetically. One is within your one physical twin flame's body. The other is within the physical body of the other twin flame. And in energetic terms, opposites are called polarities. So there's one polarity in one twin flame and the other polarity in the other twin flame. And that's why there are twin flames. It's how we're all created.
And so does that, when someone says that's my evil twin, is that what maybe was the origination of the idea because of the polar opposite kind of thing? Or is that something just a joke?
It's just a joke. No one's evil. We're all perfect. We're all good. We're all inherently good. Our soul is who we are, and it's love energy. So we all are that. But I mean, certainly on the surface, from the personalities of twin flames, and how once you're on a twin flame journey and the polarities start manifesting, which we can talk about in a bit, I'm sure. Yes, if you ask people who are experiencing the twin flame journey, can definitely feel like the other twin flame is evil sometimes, but they're not. They're not doing that anything intentionally or anything like that. It's just the energy playing out. So
there's another term that we probably need to define, and that is the twin flame journey. Tell us what that is. What is that all about? Yeah, so like I said, everyone has and is a twin flame. It's how we're all created. We have crossed paths with our twin flame in every lifetime, including this one. There's millions, probably billions of people out there who are married to their twin flames, live next door to their twin flames, work with their twin flames, but they just don't know that they're twin flames, and that's fine. What happens is, though, at some point in time, and this is not a conscious decision, no one can choose when this happens, no one feels when it happens even, but at some point in time, your soul, when it's ready, recognizes itself within the physical body of the other twin flame. And at that point, those two polarities that I spoke about, one in the one twin flame's body, one in the other twin flame's body, become activated. And they start to build up. And it's during this buildup
part where the twin flames physically are like drawn together like magnets, that they feel like they've never connected with someone as much. They found their home, all this amazing stuff. And it builds up, builds up, builds up until it reaches what we call the tipping point, where suddenly the polarities start to kick in. Now, the polarities manifest physically as a push-pull. So one twin flame pushes while the other twin flame pulls. And the push twin flame's energy is pushing towards the pull twin flame. The pull twin flame's energy is pulling away from the push twin flame. So as you can imagine, if one's pushing and pulling in tandem, it's virtually impossible for them to come together physically for any sustained amount of time with those strong energies in effect, until you know how to neutralize the polarities, pretty much.
And so the journey is all about the discovery and the understanding, and mostly I think it's introspection. Is that right?
Yes, it's very, very true. Yeah. So why this even happens is because that push-pull energy is fear-based energy. Remember, I mentioned how the soul is love energy, and that's who we are. That's what we are. But in order to assimilate here into the 3D paradigm of duality and opposites, all duality is fear. Any illusion of separateness from something else is fear.
Especially the source.
Right, exactly. And, in the 3D world, we have definite boundaries and lines, and, everything appears to be separate from it. But, really, we're all interconnected energetically. If we were to look at the planet, in a bird's eye view of, energetically, it look like one big matrix or spider web of energy. Everyone's energies, subconsciously mingling with everyone else's.
I like to visualize it as a big circuit board, right? You're looking,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on.
All these interconnections.
Yeah, exactly. And so we're never separate from anything, because everything and everyone is energy. So in some degree or another, we're resonating with whatever's in our physical world. And
do they ever flop? Elle, do they ever flop? Does one become the pusher and the puller, and then nope?
No, that's a great question. No, twin flames don't. One is always the push and one is always the pull. However, we have fear-based push-pull energy with everyone and everything that we relate to. Like I said, it's how our energies are connected with everyone. And so with other people, we can flop, push and pull, and they can as well. But with twin flames, no, one is always the push and one is always the pull, because it's of the same energetic field and soul, right? So it's just one polarity of the same energetic field. Other people are not the same energetic field. It's just feelers from our field are going out and feeling around with others from their field, right? If you want to look at it that way.
Okay, Jackie, quit pushing on me.
So Elle, are we supposed to be on a twin flame journey? Because I didn't know I was supposed to be, if I am.
There's no supposed to be. No, wherever you are is perfect. Everyone's exactly where they're meant to be at any given moment, to quote Deepak Chopra.
Okay.
So yeah, you're not supposed to do anything. There's nothing anyone can do to will it to happen, to have it happen, to manifest their twin flame. It's not of the mind. It's nothing like intent. It's not intentional. It all takes place on the level of the soul, which is the deepest subconscious level that we exist at.
Well, it seems like one of the points you make in your book is that it's actually going to deter us from finding our twin flame if we are actually seeking for it, because it's that push-pull thing again, right?
Yes, exactly. Because the push-pull energy, it's fear-based and it controls the mind. The mind is of the physical world and it is fear-based. So, right. And if, your fear-based energy, if it's in your mind pushing, you're thinking of it, you're pushing that energy toward your twin flame and pushing it out toward your twin flame. And this is especially true once you are on the twin flame journey. And so what's very common is, we have the push and the pull, and they feel the buildup and everything's great. Then all of a sudden the push pull goes into effect. Well, the push twin flame, like I said, pushes their energy out onto the pull twin flame. The pull twin flame pulls away. Physically, it looks like, the pull twin flame is ghosting or blowing off or, blocking, the push twin flame. When it seems like 1 minute, everything was perfect. And the next minute they're gone, or they're ghosting, or they're, going back and forth between you and someone else. And so it's very, it's very devastating feeling. It's soul shattering, actually, because literally does and can feel as if your soul has been ripped from your body. Like you feel like hollow inside. And also because this energy controls the mind and it's fear-based, it's also very addictive. So what happens is the push twin flame is left there. That, remember, the push only focuses on that pull twin flame. So they're left there. It controls the mind. All the thoughts are just obsessive about that pull twin flame. So all these people who have trouble getting over their ex or just can't seem to move on, it's more likely than not that they're experiencing the twin flame journey and they just don't even know about it or realize it.
So let's go back to journey. I'm still trying to put this into perspective. So whether we realize it or not, we're on this journey, and things that we react to could very well be part of this journey of us discovering who our twin flame is.
Everything's a part of your journey of life and
life
leading
mastery journey. I totally
right.
agree with that.
The thing is, once you have soul recognition on your twin flame journey, like I said, your soul will not allow you, this energy will not allow you to really focus on anything else. So it's very important to get that under control. And I say under control, but we call it balance, to neutralize the push-pull polarity. Only one twin flame needs to do this because, by definition, polarity needs two. So if one takes away their polarity, there's no longer the other polarity. So the push is the one that generally comes looking for the help, is, Googling what's going on, going to the tarot card readers, like all of this, because they're obsessed, it's like the obsessive
obsession. That's what I was just going to say.
Right. And they're hurting. And so, when they learn how to stop the push, that also stops the pull from happening because, again, by definition for polarity, you need both. So it neutralizes it. We call it balancing it. When you do that, though, the process of doing that, which is what we teach, is that this fear-based energy is the denied shadow part of yourself that it's buried deep within you. You consciously deny. We all have that. And so that's what comes to light. That's what the pull twin flame is meant to do for the push twin flame. It shows them this denied shadow, energetic shadow, part of themselves. And then to see that, to accept it, to love that part of yourself that usually you would be denying had it not been for this journey, that alchemizes the fear. Because you show it love, you shine the light on it, the fear can't exist anymore. And when you alchemize it, it actually transmutes into love. And so in so doing, that's the journey part. You keep seeing more and more layers of yourself in the form, and the fear-based energy comes in the form mostly of thoughts and then of feelings and stuff that usually we would want to suppress or deny or, believe all crazy thoughts and stuff like that. But you just realize it's just our fear-based energy. And when we can stop trying to ignore it or, feed into it and believe it and live it, but just take a step back and just observe it and neutralize it, and accept it without judgment, that alchemizes the fear into love. And so that's why the twin flame journey is really a journey of self-love. And it takes your fear-based energy within you that you normally wouldn't see, but for this journey. And it gives you the opportunity to alchemize it into love. And every time you alchemize your fear-based energy into love more and more, you shift closer and closer energetically into alignment with your soul, because your soul is that love energy that's taking over from your fear-based energy. And when you have no more fear-based energy left and you're 100% aligned with your soul, that would be ascension. So the twin flame journey is part of the ascension process.
So it's truly a life mastery journey. You're mastering your life. So it all starts, and maybe this would be the first clue to people, with an obsession, right? You find yourself overly obsessed with another person.
Yes, that would probably be, yes. So there's three signs, if you will, that you're experiencing twin flame journey. Now, if you Google this, you're going to find everyone saying, oh, it feels like home. You've never connected with anyone. You feel like you've met before, like all this other stuff. That's getting great. You can feel all of those things with a close resonance soulmate too. That's not what distinguishes physically what the twin flame journey, if you're on twin flame journey or not. Really, the three things are that, yes, an obsession. And this would be after, the polarities come into effect and the push-pull starts happening. There would be obsession about the person who left, something called core wound pain, which is a type of pain either in your soul or your heart, solar plexus, or sacral chakra. And I say pain, but it's on a spectrum. So it can feel anything from like a tightening, squeezing, clenching, all the way to feeling like you've been completely disemboweled and someone ripped your soul through that part.
Okay.
But it's something in your heart, solar plexus, or sacral chakra. So there's usually that's called core wound pain. So that's exclusive to the twin flame journey. And then also the third sign really is doubt. Doubt that you could be watching this or hearing this right now, resonating with it, because we all know this. This is the truth of who we are. So our souls know this on the soul level. It's just our minds getting past what our minds want us to believe or anything. And the mind doesn't want to believe anything, because again, the mind is based, and fear is doubt and uncertainty. So there's this doubt. That's the third one, is just doubt that even though this resonates, even though I'm doing this work, and this happened with me on my journey, I doubted until I saw it all working and happening, miraculous things happening and feeling better, and my twin flame magnetizing back in. But still, until I balanced out the very last vestiges of that fear-based energy regarding my twin flame and twin flame journey, there was always this little tiny twinge of doubt. And happens to everyone. Doubt is fear. So until the fear is all alchemized, you're going to always have a little doubt.
All right. So a couple questions.
That's why we're here, Jackie.
It sounds to me like the journey doesn't begin until you have found your twin flame. Is that true? And secondly I want to know about your twin flame journey. Now that I'm trying to understand a little bit more, I think hearing your story will kind of seal for me the real application of it.
Sure. So first question.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, soul, it happened. The twin flame journey begins at soul recognition.
Okay.
So that happens when the soul recognizes itself within the other twin flame's physical body on the deepest energetic level. So yes, you have to have some kind of physical contact with your twin flame. Now that can happen as soon as the moment that you physically ever lay eyes on a twin flame in this lifetime, or you could have been married for 20 years and all of a sudden you're on this twin flame journey, right? Anywhere, like we've had students with every story is unique and individual, how it plays out physically. What's all the same is what's going on actually on the energetic level.
Okay.
And I do want to also point out though, that you don't even have to see them in the flesh physically ever. Very common, especially these day and age with, online, internet, whatever, people are having soul recognition with people on opposite ends of the planet through, social media and online or whatever, right? So you don't have to be in physical proximity of each other.
That's what you're saying, is a picture you could see.
Yes, a picture can do it as well. Yeah, the soul energy is that strong. There's no physical bounds that can stop it, right? And I mean, that's another lesson of this journey, is that it doesn't matter what's going on physically. It's just all irrelevant, really. The soul can work miracles. It's just, there's no stopping it. It's the most powerful energy there is. So that's basically how it is. They have
your story. Your story, you described in your book that you found yourself just in pain, laying on the floor. You had 2 kids and you couldn't maintain. I mean, you were just devastated. So take it from there. I mean, this is just fascinating.
Yeah. So, okay. First I want to point out that remember I said the pain is on a spectrum. Everything's on a spectrum. I was the farthest on the spectrum that my teacher, Laura, had ever dealt with. Still to this day, I've yet to meet a student of mine that has been quite as far in the depths of despair as I was. So I was a total unique case on the worst possible scenario. Okay. But so it can always, it's going to be somewhere like,
varying degrees is what you're saying.
It's a varying degrees. It's a sliding scale. But I was all the way on the worst end. So yeah, so I just got out of a divorce, a very contentious divorce, and was having fun, young single mom. My kids were preschool age, and one of mine my other one is actually just 2. Well, I guess he was kind of in preschool, but wasn't really learning anything. Anyway, and I met this guy. A very common thing is, like I said, that the physical boundaries, my twin flame is very much younger than me, and that's very common. And a big age difference is a common thing with twin flames. It doesn't have to be, but it's a common thing. And just hung out, was having fun, but we just connected so much, whatever. And but it's so fast, so intense. And before I knew it, 6 weeks later, he was gone. And everyone, like my friends, everyone was like, who cares? Move on. He's like, fun little summer fling, and next. I mean, I just got out of a marriage, a contentious divorce. It took 2 years. Why is this 6-week thing like? And I felt like my core wound is in my sacral chakra. So it felt like my soul was literally ripped out there, like a gaping hole. Was there, constant pain? Again, like the obsessive thoughts. I just couldn't focus on anything else. I couldn't function. The pain was so bad. I remember I'd wake up every morning, somehow get my kids to preschool, and then come home, and they could be there for like 10 hours or something. And I would just lay on the floor crying, like begging the universe to take me. I didn't know what to do. And in that time frame, I was like that for 6 months. And in that time frame, I consulted numerous psychic, spiritual advisors, spellcasters, a voodoo mambo, a therapist, like anything I could think of to, help me. And, this was 8 years ago. And back then, even in spiritual circles and the psychic circles and the spiritual advisors I had, and not one of them mentioned twin flames to me. So this wasn't even like a mainstream term, even in those circles at that time.
And yet they knew it was because of a breakup. But
Yeah,
no
they
one
did.
put,
They're like, oh,
no one put 2 and 2 together.
No, it was a soulmate. They had to light candles in Romania and like do all this other stuff, and then cut the cord, but they couldn't cut the cord. They didn't know why. Well, because you can't cut the cord from your own soul, but they're like, we don't understand this. It was just, the therapist was like, just a young guy playing house for the summer, move on. There's just like, no, you don't understand. I can't move on. And you can't move on because it's yourself, it's your soul. Your soul's not gonna let you move on. You need to face this. It's ready, right? So anyway, I know that. But then like 6 months in, the 13th, I called in a psychic hotline. I remember it was like New Year's Eve day. I just like found out he had moved in with some new girl, and I was just like, oh, I was like beside it was like the lowest low. And I called this psychic hotline, and I talked to the psychic, and she mentioned twin flames. It's like, what's that? And then so like I Googled it, and my teacher, who became my teacher, Leora, there's like 2 things that came up. She was like the first thing. And I was like, went on her website, quick paid for sessions, had it that night. And I mean, within 2 weeks of working with her, I was functioning like normal. After 6 months, within 30 days, I was happy and, just happy and fine. And then within 3 months, my twin flame came back, and it was, and I still continued to work with her for 2 years, just because, I don't know, I just wanted to learn more about the ascension process, because there's no destination, there's no end game other than ascension, which, I mean, not this lifetime, probably for most of us. So, I just wanted to learn more about, what it really was. And so I continued to work with my teacher for 2 years. She then passed on, and I realized, and then a year after that, her website was taken down with her teachings. And so I was like, well, this sucks, because there's got to be other people going through what I went through, and they don't have the benefit of her. So that's when I wrote Twin Flames Exposed, actually, just to like really just kind of clarify, 99% of the information out there about twin flames is just not true, or misconstrued, or made up, or just romanticized, or whatever, it's just not what's going on. And that was actually my teacher Leora's biggest pet peeve. She considers like, oh, everyone takes everything out of context with this stuff, and just anything you find is just not real. So I wrote that book really in homage to her, and then also to just bring some clarity to if anyone else is experiencing it. And then I self-published it, put it on Amazon, and next thing you know, I had all these people reaching out to me, please help me.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to ask. How popular was it? I mean, it's obviously, from your description, people are experiencing this all over.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And I mean, ever since, so that was 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago. No, yes, 4.5 years ago. And then, I mean, within these 4.5 years, I mean, I never thought I could help be a coach. I mean, my teacher, Leora, she channeled archangels and all of that. I mean, I didn't do that. I was just, I was a lawyer before this. I wasn't in those, I didn't do that.
Fascinating.
I was like, I can't help deal with this, but they just kept coming, and I just tried my best. And next thing you know, it just grew and grew and grew. And every like month, it just seems there's so many more people awakening to their twin flame journey. It's just because, the level of human consciousness is just, rising exponentially.
And so just going back to your story a little bit, you are with your twin flame, that person today. Yeah. I mean, it fascinating.
And so because you were able to heal yourself, you became the pull twin, or at least you being the push twin allowed him now to come in because
Right,
you were
that's
no
what it
longer pushing.
Yes, it neutralizes. That's how we teach. You neutralize the push and neutralizes the pull, because again, you need a push to have a pull.
Yeah.
And so it neutralizes your soul, which is basically one energetic field. So you neutralize your shared energetic field, which then enables the soul to bring its two physical bodies together. But remember, the point of this is not just to have a physical relationship of your two physical bodies. The
Right.
soul
No,
can
I
care
get
less
it.
because it's in the physical world. So what happens is the soul brings the twin flame back in, and then when the pull twin flame comes back in, you're going to have some more push fear-based energy reveal itself.
Mm.
And then it's a process. It's not just like, I mean, I think I've had two students where like they did it once, and yeah, their twin flame so far has been there to stay, and that's great. But you can never say never always in the physical world anyway, because everything is temporary here in the physical world, right? The only thing that is for real and always and eternal is our soul. So you can't say forever, whatever, but yeah, they come in, and then you see more of your push energy, which pushes out a little conceivably, and they pull away again a little, but it's never as devastating. It's never such a high and low, because you're balancing the whole time, you're neutralizing it. And so, it's not, and then you're in this, you have to be fearless, completely fearless, in order to physically remain with your twin flame for any sustained amount of time. Because as soon as the fear comes in, the push pull goes into effect again. And, it's a process. It really is. But it's meant to be a process, because it's not about just catching that person. It's about, seeing these layers of your fear that would otherwise be the denied energetic shadow part of yourself, and alchemize.
As you were describing your your pain and the reaction to the loss of your twin flame, I started to think, gosh, are there people out there who are experiencing this and like you have no idea that it's not depression or that it's not insanity?
Yeah.
And that there's actually a reason for this obsession with this person. And I also think, well, does this describe some of those people that we think are stalkers? Because maybe it is a twin flame that has discovered the other twin, and they're doing a lot of pushing, which is also pushing the other one back. And so I'm wondering, this is kind of a morbid question, but I'm wondering, is it possible that a lot of suicides are happening because of this experience of this pain and losing twin flame relationship?
Yes. And also a lot of domestic violence after, like homicides, if the push happens to get violent about it,
Oh,
or the pull is like so annoyed and like angry that, yes, that's a lot of that is, my teacher said, was very often caused because it's a twin flame journey and people just don't know, because it's all energy.
yeah.
So on this journey,
Mm.
and we'll take this scenario. I see this person and I become obsessed, and I think, okay, so I need to work your process, right? And get in tune with it. And then we talked about this during the pre-show. And then it turns out that that person wasn't, it was this person. Does that happen? I mean, is that a real scenario where you work your process and you discover, well, it may not be the person, it could be this person?
It's very common for people to feel that way and think that way, because like I said, the doubt is always there until it's not. So yeah, that's part of the doubt. But everything happens for a reason. Your soul guides you to this journey for a reason. The person who is the reason why you sought out the help, who came here, who originally,
Exactly.
activated that fear within you, that's your twin flame. Because it's very common also, like we discussed, for you to magnetize in a very close resonant soulmate as you are working through this journey or balancing out your fear-based energy. It's very common. And so because you're in this journey and you think, oh my God, I will never meet anyone who made me feel this way or whatever, right? Not that anyone can make you feel anything, but you think you never find anyone that you connect with like this or anything. And then all of a sudden you magnetize in someone else who, they're sweeping you off your feet too. And you never thought that could be possible again, because, you never felt so strongly about anyone before like you did about your twin flame. And so then, yeah, people are like, oh, well, I think this is my twin flame. That's a very common thing that we get with our students as well. But yeah.
And that's what you call the doubt. So do you have doubt today?
No, I don't have doubt. about
No,
my
no
twin
doubt.
flame. I've doubt other things. I'm working on other areas now. Yeah, it's a never-ending process or journey. Even once the twin flame
Oh,
stuff.
totally. I totally get it. I think it's just a really cool way to approach love and relationships. Now, something you said in the beginning too, and Jackie and I talked about it during our pre-show, is animals. You know, I have this ability to attract animals into my life, and it just seems like a perfect fit. I wouldn't say one's my twin flame, but
Oh, it can't be your
it's
twin.
that can't happen.
Soulmate. You're a soulmate, but not your twin flame.
Okay. I just wanted to get that distinction so that yeah.
Yeah,
But
no,
animals can be your soulmate, and
Oh,
that's a common thing. Okay.
Oh yes, because they have souls, and like you said, you resonate very closely with certain ones, and they're
Right.
attracted to you. And you know, there's certain animals that people, I'm sure anyone knows who has a beloved pet, that you know, you feel calm in their presence, and you really do feel amazing around them, right?
I
And
call them angels. Heartbeats at my feet. Yeah, for
And
sure.
there's one in the cage behind Jackie is her tortoise.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, so Elle, I think the most powerful message in your book for me is that it's not about finding the someone. It's about connecting with who you are and being your best self. And it reminded me of something that someone said a long time ago before I was even married, and where it seemed like the most important thing at the time was to find, you know, the one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember someone saying, don't worry so much about finding the one, but work on being the one for someone else. And that was, I was reminded of that while reading your book and thinking, well, that's really a great philosophy, because like I said, I didn't know I was supposed to be on a twin flame journey. And you're telling me that I'm not supposed to be, unless, you know, it becomes something that the universe, you know, wanted from me or something like that. But what I do know is that I need to constantly be working on improving myself and having my own spiritual connection with whatever that is, and being the best that I can be. So is that true?
Yeah,
Is that your
that
message?
generally that is true. But that whole thing about like needing to be your best self, you are your best self, you know. So it's more about not trying to be and do, but just really to get to know and accept all parts of yourself. So for example, you know, a lot of times whenever we feel like bad, for example, it's because we're resisting something. And resistance is fear. And so all negative feelings come from a resistance to something that we perceive going on in our physical world, you know, that we don't want to have happen, or we think it should be another way, or, you know, whatever, right? If we can like learn to, you know, kind of take a step back out of that and be like, okay, well, nothing is bad. We're good. Everything is actually neutral. And any judgment we make onto something in our physical lives or someone or whatever is all just through the filters that we have in place in our minds, you know, through limiting beliefs, through societal beliefs, or anything like that, right? Experience. But it's all filters, because the same event, the same person, the same thing in the physical world, we could think of as bad, but someone else could think it's good. You know, and so that shows that the thing or the event or the person itself isn't good or bad. It's whoever is, you know, perceiving it is, and that would be our own judgment. And it's when we judge something as bad as when we feel bad, and that judgment is resistance. So if we could just like maybe like, you know, when we start to feel bad, realize, well, wait, what am I judging here? Like, what am I thinking is so bad? And then, you know, look at our thoughts and be like, well, you know, no, that's not necessarily bad. Right. It takes a lot of faith actually to do that. And that's part of loving yourself too, that we have to understand that our soul is orchestrating everything. Our soul is more powerful than our minds or anything, our physical actions or words or anything. Our mind doesn't like to believe that, because our mind always likes to think it's in control, but it's not. Our soul is orchestrating everything. It got us here, you know. At the end of the day, at the end of the life, it's who we are. So
some would describe that as the ego, right? Is that your description too, or
the soul is the ego?
No. The fear
Oh,
based
right.
mind wanting to
Yeah.
take off on its own and do its own thing and not be connected to the soul.
Yeah. Ego is a way to describe it for sure. Yeah. And yeah, so but if you really truly love yourself, which none of us do truly, because again, that would be ascension. We're not there yet. Process, that's fine. We're exactly where we're meant to be. And if we could just kind of remind ourselves that, hey, everything that's happening is happening for a reason, because our soul, which is perfect, doesn't mess up, it's miraculous. It's orchestrating all of this whole lifetime for a reason. And even if our minds can't figure out or conceive of what that reason is, our soul has our best interest in heart, because our soul is love energy and it's perfect. And so if it takes, like I said, some blind faith into really trusting and believing yourself as who you truly are, which is your soul. But once you do that, you get closer and closer into, you do it more and more. And, you realize that, there's nothing that's bad happening. It's if your soul is orchestrating it. But, it does take some blind faith. It's easier said than done, but it's a process.
And is that what you help your clients to do, is work through that process?
After beyond my clients who work with us beyond the twin flame or magnetize your twin flame coaching program, where we get them to bounce out regarding their twin flame and twin flame journey. Then after that, we work with students after that to help them apply those kind of things to other areas of our lives and other people and stuff like that, to continue the journey on beyond the twin flame aspect of it.
So how long does it take, Elle? So if I'm how do I want to say it? If I'm devastated, right? I have this thing going on and I reach out to you and I think, oh my gosh, I have this twin flame thing going on in the beginning of this journey. And so in me working with you, how long does it take for me to get to that balance point?
Well, like I said, it's a process. And there's this journey must take place on the realm of the soul. It's a soul journey. It has to take place on that level. Remember, we can't intend anything we do through our mind is push energy. It's going to push out onto our twin flame. So this has to be on the level of the soul. You work with the energy. We teach people how to access and actually feel and work with their soul energy. And then so when the realm of the soul, there is no time. Time only exists in the 3D physical world, which is mind, right? Soul is eternal. So there's no need for time because it's timeless, right?
It just seemed like you talked about, your extended coaching program. It seemed like people could move through this quickly and then they still wanted support, and you provided that support on the other side.
I mean, we've had students, bounce regarding their twin flame, like within the 6 weeks of our program. And then we've had other students that take a year. Yeah. And then mostly, like average, it's around 3 to 6 months, I would say, is probably the average mostly. But again, there's no time, and everyone's journey is unique and individual. And if you get caught up on time, guess what you're doing? That's your fear-based energy pushing out. Because why does it care about time? Because it wants to get your twin flame. So it's really underneath the time is a focus on getting your twin flame back.
But ultimately,
yes.
Ultimately, it could be that you don't really have a physical connection with your twin flame.
Ultimately,
well, it could be that it takes time. So that at the present moment, that's not the objective. The objective is to recognize and start working the journey, I guess, is my point.
Right. Yeah. It's to focus on yourself and, apply the process that we teach in doing that. Which then just happen faster, actually, but you don't want to think about it. We can't have anyone we don't let our focus on time or faster or anything.
So the obsession goes away, and we're working on ourselves, and we're just being here, being in the now, and what happens, and we buy into that, or we realize that.
Yeah, we accept it without judgment,
without any outcome,
distance,
without any expectation of the outcome.
And it is a process, like I said, all of our students, 100%, when they finish our program, they've magnetized in their twin flame back, whether the twin flame has blocked them or ghosted them or disappeared out of their lives, no matter how long, or has moved on with someone else, married someone else, whatever. They magnetize them back in some way, shape, form. The soul determines that. That's not the end of it, and that's where it becomes really tricky, actually. And it actually kind of you know, you kind of have to change tactics a bit. It's always the same truth. You kind of have to apply it different ways because, you know, you're feeling great, you're balanced, you're no longer pushing out. That's the only time when your soul is going to bring your twin flame back in. But then again, why'd I say they come back in? So that your push energy reveals itself some more. So there it is pushing out again. And, you know, it's very easy for it who controls your mind to be like, got him back. We're done. Now we can ride off into the sunset, you know, but no, it's a process and it's not about that. And as long as you make that the focus, that'll never happen. It's a paradox. It's called the twin flame paradox.
Fascinating. Oh my goodness, ladies. We only have about 3 minutes left. And Elle, fascinating. You're on the cutting edge of some would I even describe it as technology? I guess it is technology because it's a technical understanding of ourselves and what makes us tick. It's pretty cool.
It's like science. It's I say, you know, people want to like sensationalize it and romanticize it, but and woo-woo it, but really it's science, it's energy, it's physics.
Is there one last parting shot? We just have a couple of minutes left. I mean, is there something we didn't? I'd love to have you back on the show. I think there's so much more to talk about. This has been a really great discussion.
Good, thank you. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just want people to know that if they are feeling, you know, caught up on someone, not able to move on, not able to get over someone, you know, that they're fixated on an old relationship or someone, an ex, trying to manifest their SP, it could most likely be a twin flame. And that's the last thing you want to do is try to manifest or, you know, send certain texts or whatever happens in those things, because that's all, again, pushing your energy out, causing them to pull even further away.
Cool.
So
very cool.
seriously
So
consider
how
that.
do people get a hold of you, Elle? If there's someone listening who's in that situation, how do they get in connection with you?
Sure. Well, they can visit our website, bewithyourtwinflame.com. They can find us on social media. We have a pretty active YouTube channel, Be With Your Twin Flame. Our Instagram's pretty active, at Be With Your Twin Flame. We're on Facebook. Elle Hari is the Facebook page. And they want to read my books, they're on Amazon. And we also have a podcast, Twin Flame Truth.
Wow.
Nice.
Where you get your podcasts.
Very cool. Any takeaways, Jackie?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like I said,
The difference.
yeah, I'm just
between
new
our
at this.
pre-show and now.
Yeah.
It's like
It's a new concept for me, so I'm gonna have to digest it a little bit. But I think, Elle, one last thing is I need to know the benefit of finding a twin flame. What is the best part about finding your twin flame?
That your twin flame, remember, shows you that denied part of yourself that you would never see of yourself. And even though it's fear-based energy, it's a part of you and you're perfect. Every part of you is perfect. Even, you know, the judgy part of you, or, you know, the fear part of you. And, you know, just seeing that, you're able to then identify it and then accept it without judgment, which is love.
Cool. Thank
all
you.
about love. That's about all we have time for today. Thank you, Elle, for showing up as you with a great message. This is so cool. And Jackie, great to see you again, my friend.
Yeah.
Please choose to check out Elle's website and her book, and you might be enlightened. You might get a little answer. Who knows what will happen? And lastly, please, please, please make it a great day, because it is all about choice. Bye-bye for now.
Bye, everybody. Thanks, Elle.
Bye. Thank you so much. Lots of love.